Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I today wanted to share with you all of the different ways that I really messed up on setting goals and not achieving them. So today I wanted to share the tips that have now started to work in my life and to share them with you, and also as a lesson for myself to rewatch when I forget this, because this is probably the most important thing that I've ever learned in my life. And for the past 5 to 7 years of pursuing my dreams with all different things like failing different businesses and all of that, this is the number one lesson that I just really need to share with you. So let's give background context. When I was when I first started out my like entrepreneurship journey, I was just, wanted to like create a business and do this thing. And I really relied on external metrics in order to validate how I was feeling, how I was doing, if something was working or not. One of the examples, if my business was making sales, then I would say, oh, I'm doing great. And my mood would be very happy and joyful. But if something went wrong, I would feel really upset and really down. Now I'm in a place in my process where I'm so committed to no longer letting the ups and downs of everyday life to affect me in that way. And I needed to share this because I know so many of you will probably be like me at some point in your life where you're pursuing something that you really care about, but what messes you up is the external validation. That's honestly the thing that messes everybody up. It's not just you. It's all of us. We are humans. We were built to crave validation from other people. When we are doing things that we love, we want others to accept and love us for that, because that is our need for belonging in society. It's a survival need. We all have it. So here is the number one thing that have helped me to completely change this. Before I give you that, I want to say, in all of the vision board, and when people talk about focus on the outcome, visualize the outcome, focus on the outcome, I was the person that focused so much on the outcome. Like for years, I would just focus on, okay, this is how much money I want to make, this is the impact that I want to have, this is how I want this thing to turn out. I focused so much on the outcome, but because I was so obsessed with the outcome, I didn't focus on the input. And that was where the biggest problem lied. I focused on the outcome because I wanted it to validate me. And when it didn't validate me, I forgot everything. When it did validate me, I would have that motivation to feel back into my process and focus on my actions. But when it didn't validate me, I completely lost motivation. I made it all about myself. Oh, I didn't do a good job. I'm a failure. I can't do this. Something's wrong with me. But what I've realized is that if I keep doing this to myself, if you keep doing this to yourself, if anybody keep doing this to themselves, and always relying on how something external can validate you, then you're always at the mercy of what is happening on the outside. And it is just the worst way to live or to build anything. Because if you need somebody else to validate how you feel on the inside, then you're not going to be able to chase what it is that you truly want and desire in your dream, in your heart. Because what if everyone else says, oh, well, don't do that? Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to listen to everyone else? So basically, the key that I have just found for myself within the past 6 months is that instead of focusing entirely on the output or the outcome, I need to put all of my attention and energy on the input. And it's funny because when I started to realize this, Layla Homozy put up a video about how she set goals, which is that she doesn't even set goals and she just focuses on the inputs. And I was like, thank God, I figured this part out. But like, why didn't I see this video earlier? Why didn't she post this earlier? But when she shared that, it resonated with me so much because I was like, this is how I feel about my creative process now. I don't think about, will this go viral? Will people watch this? Like, do I want that? Of course. I want people to watch my videos. I want people to engage with the things that I'm creating. But if that is the only thing that determines whether I'm putting in the action, whether I'm sitting here to create a video, then it's just like I'm putting my dream at the mercy of some external circumstances. And I just cannot let that happen anymore. And I don't want you to let anything like that happen anymore, because if it was just so, like even with the algorithm, there are some things where it just doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes, like one of my videos in the past went viral on Instagram, but it didn't go viral right away. It took, I think, like a week, and then I started to realize, oh my gosh, this thing is going viral. And then once it hit 100,000, I was like, this is the most viral I've ever gotten anything online. And then it kept going and going and going, and it was like over months it got to 1 million. But then the problem was that after reaching a couple of, like having viral things going online on my Instagram writing account, I started to chase the virality. I started to think, okay, if I make this content, will it go viral? If I make this, will it go viral? And then I started to realize that my creative process and the way that I was putting in my work, it messed it messes everything up, because now I wasn't doing things that I truly felt I needed to do. I was doing things so that I could chase the external validation. And I started to notice that when I started to do that, things stopped working for me. Things started to feel harder. I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I was doing things to perform instead of doing things that my heart truly wanted to do. I felt demotivated. I didn't want to show up anymore. And so then I asked myself, what is the most important thing for me to focus on? And it was everything about the input, everything about the process. It's not about how it's received. It's not about how many views it gets, even though those are the things that are really nice to look at. And they create data and signs to see what's working and what's not, potentially, not all of it. But what started to become even more important is how I feel. I started to recognize it's how I feel before I create the process. It's how I feel when I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about what content to create, what things I want to write, what I want to talk about, what feels the most important to me, what actually feels like truth for me, what I actually want to share, versus sitting there and being like, "Oh, what can I create to make it viral?" And then going through the process of being like, I just feel like I'm sitting here trying to make something happen. When I sat there and I say, okay, as a coach, what is the most important thing that people need to know? Then the flux of inspiration comes to me, the flux of content ideas and topics comes to me. But if I'm sitting there, I'm like, what can go viral? Then I start to look at what other people are doing. I start comparing myself. I start watering down what I actually want to talk about. And that is why I'm making this video, because I want to make it for both you as you're watching this and as a reminder for myself to realize that, like, if we are just focusing on the output, what can this do? Can this be a success? Can this happen? Like, will people like this? That is actually the thing that will water down all of the stuff that needs to actually happen. So what I figured out for myself is everything is about the input and everything is about the process. It's about me falling in love with this process. It's about me sitting in front of the camera. If I'm being someone else and I'm not being myself, if I'm talking in a way that doesn't feel right for me, if I'm sharing a message that feels like I should, instead of sharing what is real for me, what is just raw, authentic, and just messy, like me, like just imperfect me, then will I want to show up on the camera again? No. It's very likely that I don't want to show up consistently if I'm not even in love with the process. If I don't even like to talk to the camera, to the audience, talk about the topic that I want to talk about, I'm not going to show up again. So I started to realize that if I fall in love with the process, that is the number one key that will have me stay in the game. And me winning at this game is me staying in the game. It's not me going viral once and be done. It's not me only going viral and having, just that be the entire game, is to just go viral. But it's actually me being so in love with this process that whether the results come today or not, I will still do it. I will still do it for myself. I will do it for the people that are watching. I will do it for someone, just one person that I know will watch this. Just like there's so much more meaning and significance when I think about, okay, it's me falling in love with the process and focusing my entire energy on the input versus the outcome. Now, I'm not making this video to say to never focus on the outcome or to never think about the outcome. I think that focusing on the outcome is really useful when you don't have a clear direction or clear desire of where you want to go. So, when you do the process of visualization and focusing on the outcome, I think that should be 10% of how you spend your energy, right? Like in the manifestation world and whatnot, it's like, okay, focus on the outcome, visualizing the outcome. But do that like 10% of the day, do that like in the morning or at night, but don't do that the entire day that you literally forget about taking the aligned and inspired actions. Because what I realize is that you can visualize all the things, but if you're not doing anything else with your life beside visualizing, nothing is gonna happen. It's like what I started to do is visualizing the process. So, yes, visualize the goal, but then visualize the process. Visualize how you feel or what you're doing when you're engaging in the process, when you're doing what it is that you know you need to do or you want to do. So, for example, I would visualize myself sitting at a place in my room talking to a camera. I would visualize how I feel. I would visualize how I feel afterwards. I would visualize myself posting. Like, I would visualize every step of the process. At that time, when I was really afraid, I was really afraid to do something like this. So I visualized it to help me kind of see things more clearly and give me more clarity so that I would actually take the action. Now I don't really visualize the process as much. I more so visualize to improve the process. So just kind of looking at, okay, where in the process can I improve? Is it how I feel? Is it the way that I deliver the message? Is it the energy? Is it like, how do I know I'm in alignment? So when I visualize the process, it's more about how can I come more in alignment with what I'm doing. So yeah, let me see. The main message that I want to share in this video is that whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, I know the outcome is very important to you. It's important to all of us. We want specific outcomes because we think that a specific outcome is going to make us happy. But the truth is, an outcome can be very temporary. It's the person that we are building ourselves on the way that is actually the name of the game. And the person that we are building ourselves along the way is the process. It's when we are focusing on the input. It's when, when like a musician just loves to create music. That's how they become successful. They're not becoming successful because, oh, well, I just want to make music that's going to go viral. Like they only focus on making music that will just hit the number one like Billboard. Like the musicians that I like read about and read their books and their autobiography, it's like they were so in love with the music, they were so in love with the process. Because of that, they work day and night. Because of that, they just keep leaning into it. And yes, of course, they want to make music that's gonna go to, Billboard top one, but it's not the only thing that they are focusing on. The outcome is not the only thing they're focusing on, but they're falling in love so much with the input and with the process that because of that, it's just inevitable how the outcome will happen. Another thing about focusing on the input is that when you focus on the input, all timeline cease to exist. When you only focus on the outcome, you think to yourself, is this happening yet? When is this happening? It's not happening right now. Like, what? I'm not okay if it's not happening right now, right? You're started to chase timelines. You start to feel anxious when it's not happening. But when you focus on the input and when you focus on the process and you're falling in love deeply with the process, then every moment in this present moment become the destination. When you're sitting here and you're doing what you love, the present moment becomes the destination. You're not chasing something, you're not chasing a timeline. The timeline is here. The present moment is the destination. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, because when I started to do this, I started to feel like everything that I want to create is actually here. It's not somewhere, sometime in the future, but it's all actually here. It's just that today's action is going to look differently than tomorrow's action, than in 10 years from now, or whatever. But what I want to create is here. The present moment is the destination. So if I can be here, be present with everything that I ever want to create, and take the actions that I know I need to take today, right here, right now, then I am already manifesting everything that I want from all timelines and space right here in this moment. Anyways, I think I've communicated everything I need to talk about when it comes to focusing on your input. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure you check my other videos on how to walk with fears, how to overcome fears, how to be courageous. Those are the videos that will really, really help you to anchor in everything that we talk about today when it comes to building your dreams and focusing on the input. Thank you, and I will see you again. Bye.